Hello, my name is Natasha Williams, and I would like to thank you for viewing my presentation on liturgical dance in the Black Church as it relates to self-esteem. The Black Christian worship service is an experience in itself. From shouting, which is an expression of praise and thanks to God, to speaking in tongues, worship in the Black Church is an occurrence that is known to be unique to the culture. Although liturgical dance is not entirely unique to African American church, it is largely regarded as an integral part of the entire Black Christian worship experience. It has been proven in the scholarly journals explored in this presentation that active participation, regular attendance, and inclusion into social groups that tend to focus more heavily on Black culture can lead to positive outcomes in African American teens. Liturgical dance specifically can be linked to not only heightened levels of hope, but also resilience and self-confidence. The subject of this study was seemingly hesitant to speak on her experience with Black culture and race as a whole. Without any further information available on this particular subject, excluding her very obvious pauses in body language when questioned on race, this could be a result of her limited interaction with other Black teens in her peer group and also other teens in general. Isolation from her social group is of subject's own volition. For example, when asked about her friend group at school, the subject stated that she consciously chose not to interact because she didn't want to align herself with anyone that didn't have the same goals that she had. These are direct quotes from the teen regarding her conscious social isolation and her hesitance to speak about race. Her body language while questioned about race was tense, and she was fidgeting slightly, which indicated that she was uncomfortable during this portion of the interview. The focus of this research study is on Black children and liturgical dance. Specifically, this research study will set out to prove that children who participate in a liturgical dance group at a Black church throughout childhood will develop self-confidence. This study is a qualitative single case study. The researcher conducted a semi-structured interview with the 17-year-old African American rising senior, who will henceforth be referred to as DS. The interview was conducted in Jacksonville, North Carolina, at the home of the interviewer and was 17 minutes and 42 seconds in its entirety. The interviewer began the interview by asking DS basic demographic questions to ensure that she meets the criteria set by the instructor. DS was also asked about the demographics of her place of worship and her participation in liturgical dance in particular. Key questions include, do you have friends? Why or why not? How does participation in dancing make you feel? Do you look forward to it? Why or why not? How has performing impacted your life and your level of self-confidence? And when you think about the interactions that you have with others during these activities, how do you feel? As previously stated, DS is a 17-year-old African American rising senior. Her family consists of her great-grandmother, two grandmothers, maternal and paternal, her mother, father, and 4 siblings. DS is the second youngest child in her family. Her parents are currently divorced. DS's interaction and participation with the Black experience appears to be limited to her interactions with other congregants of her church and her home life, as her school is predominantly Caucasian. When asked about her attendance in church, her participation in church, and her personal views on her confidence and self-esteem, her answers were consistent with the proposed hypothesis in that she expressed a generally positive view of herself. This idea is supported by the answers provided when asked about her participation in dance. These are direct quotes from the teen, which I believe supports the hypothesis and shows that she has a fairly high level of self-confidence. DS did not disclose a lot of information about her experience and views on Black culture. However, her answers were consistent with the proposed hypothesis. Specifically, the researchers Tresnewski, Donnellan, Moffitt, Robbins, Poulton, and Caspi found that adolescents with low levels of self-esteem and self-confidence continue experiencing feelings of loneliness, exclusion in a social group, and poor chances of economic success in adulthood. These teens also have no sense of hope or structure that can be instilled in them through participation in church and various other social groups that may be offered to them in and out of religious settings. Additionally, Briga and Coleman found that regular attendance in an African American church inspires pride in the Black community through social stigmatization, which is defined by the researchers as the degree to which an individual internalizes such negative attitudes and stereotypes toward a social group of which he or she is a member. The findings of this study is consistent with the proposed hypothesis in that DS displayed significantly high levels of self-confidence and self-esteem. DS also supported the idea that participation in a social group inspires a positive outlook on her future, as she expressed a clear-cut plan of attending a community college for 1 year and subsequently transferring to a 4-year university to study medicine. Limitations of this study include the fact that DS's interactions with the Black culture are seemingly limited to church and home, as her peer group is small and her school is predominantly Caucasian. This concludes my presentation on liturgical dance in the Black church and the ways in which it impacts self-confidence in Black teens. I'd like to thank you for your time and attention during my presentation.